In the women's prison, prisoners began to get pregnant one by one. At first it seemed like a strange coincidence, but when 3 women became pregnant in a week, the guards were forced to launch an investigation. Everything began to grow into an alarming suspense. Dr. Elizabeth froze in front of the ultrasound machine screen. The image was extremely clear. She still couldn't process what she saw. Over the decades of medical practice, she has encountered various things, but this is the first time. There was horror in her eyes, and her mind was desperately trying to find a logical explanation. Gathering her thoughts, she turned to the female guard who was waiting for her at the door. "Madison, please get the boss. Tell him it's urgent," she said in a restrained but tense voice. Madison frowned at her worried look, but without asking any questions, she nodded and quickly left the office. Meanwhile, Elizabeth turned to the patient, a young woman named Hillary, who was sitting on a gurney and tapping her fingers nervously on her knee. Her gaze was full of confusion and fear, the same as the doctor herself felt. "Doctor," Hillary began hesitantly. Is this really what I think it is?" "Yes, Hillary. You're pregnant," Elizabeth confirmed. "But the main question is how. It's a prison. It's impossible to get pregnant here. Please explain. I need to understand what happened." Hillary lowered her eyes, avoiding her gaze. At that moment, the door opened and Samantha, the head of the department, entered the office. Her eyes were focused, and her step was determined. "What's the matter, Elizabeth? What happened? What is it?" she asked, looking from the doctor to Hillary. Elizabeth just silently pointed at the monitor. Samantha came closer and, seeing the image, widened her eyes in surprise. "This can't be happening. Is she pregnant?" "But this is the 3rd woman in a week." The doctor and the supervisor exchanged worried glances. "This is serious, Samantha," Elizabeth said. "Something strange is happening here, and we can't ignore it." Samantha ran a hand over her face, clearly trying to make sense of what she had heard. "Our prison has strict rules. Intimate visits are prohibited, and any contact with the outside world is under control. It's just not possible." She shook her head, but there was concern in her voice. "We're missing something," she said, "and it may be more serious than it seems." The doctor turned to Hillary again. "I'm only going to ask this question once," Elizabeth said softly but seriously. "Who is the father of the child? How did you get pregnant?" Hillary paled and clenched her fists, as if gathering her strength. "I do not know. I swear. I did not do anything. Please don't ask me any more," she managed, barely holding back tears. Madison, who was watching, crossed her arms over her chest and came closer. "Hillary, you're the 3rd pregnant woman this week. We need to know what's going on. Tell." But Hillary abruptly stood up and, before anyone could stop her, ran out of the room, accompanied by guards. The doctor and the boss were left in silent perplexity. A few days later, Samantha called an emergency meeting for the entire staff. Security guards, medics, and other staff gathered in a small room. "I spend every day with them," Madison said. "They are either in the courtyard or in the dining room. I didn't notice anything strange. Not a single private contact, not a single date. Everything is under the cameras," Elizabeth added. There was silence, until Maria came forward. "What if they're not strangers, and one of us?" The room froze. "Do you think it could be an employee?" Samantha asked cautiously. All the women except one. Everyone thought of the same thing at the same time. "Mr. Alex. He's the only man on the staff." The old guard standing at the gate. Always polite, calm. "I've never aroused suspicion." Nevertheless, Samantha and Elizabeth decided to check the recordings from the cameras. They looked through everything: corridors, bathrooms, internal passages. Nothing. Until one of the recordings showed Hillary and Alex going into a nook next to the toilets together, out of camera range. A minute later, Alex came out alone. Why did he go there with her? He has his own bathroom, Samantha said in surprise. Maybe he is, Elizabeth began, but didn't dare finish. But everything collapsed when it turned out that Alex had been on vacation for a whole month, long before the first pregnant women appeared. Moreover, he explained that he used the women's bathroom only temporarily. The guardhouse was undergoing repairs. Suspicions were dispelled, but there was still no response. And then the new news came. Elizabeth went to Samantha's. We have another pregnancy. Susanna. The name immediately caused tension. Suzanne is not just a prisoner. She is an influential figure, formidable and respected. Scary. They went out into the courtyard, where Suzanne was already waiting for them, arms crossed over her chest and eyebrows raised. The other prisoners watched with interest. We need to talk, Samantha said. We know that something is going on here. Unnatural. Susanna chuckled. You shouldn't pry into other people's business. I won't say anything. Stop your investigation, she said, and turned and walked away. Samantha and Elizabeth stayed where they were. A meeting with the prison administration was scheduled for the next day. Both women submitted full reports. We're at a dead end, Samantha said honestly. There should be no such cases, but they are there, and we have to find out why. After discussion, it was decided to install cameras in all areas, including blind spots, and strengthen monitoring. A new week has begun. Surveillance has been increased. The video was analyzed from morning to evening, but still no evidence. Until one day, Madison came into the office with a young prisoner named Louise. She's in pain. I brought her to you, the guard said. Tell me how you feel, Elizabeth said. Illness, weakness, Morsha, I can't eat, Louise muttered. Elizabeth already knew what she was going to see. After doing an ultrasound, she confirmed her suspicions. You're pregnant. Hearing this, Louise burst into tears. Louise, you're safe. Tell me what's going on, Elizabeth said softly. She wiped her tears, gathering her courage. I made a mistake. I did something wrong. What is it? She whispered. At that moment, Samantha and Madison entered the office. Louise, please tell us. We don't want to punish you. Just understand. It's important, Samantha said to her. Louise was silent for a long time, and then she whispered, You're following us, but not in the right place. These are not guards. These are not employees. They come from another place. From a men's prison. Elizabeth and Samantha froze. What do you mean? Between the bushes and the stone benches, where Suzanne always sits. Take a closer look. There's something there. Louise, are you sure? Samantha asked. Please don't go there when they're in the yard. If Suzanne finds out what I said, I'm finished. After she left, Elizabeth and Samantha rushed to the observation post. They looked at the recordings from the courtyard. Watching this area, they noticed that at first there were 4 women, and then 3. One disappeared into the bushes, and then reappeared. Something was happening. In the evening, when the courtyard was empty, Samantha and Elizabeth went to the right place. Pushing aside the bushes, they found a secret passage, a narrow tunnel leading underground. They called the guards and examined the passage. The tunnel connected the women's and men's prisons. That's a twist, Samantha whispered. The tunnel, once built for escape, turned out to be a link between the 2 institutions. Prisoners secretly used it to meet away from their cells. This is exactly what caused the pregnancies. The management has been informed. Soon, both entrances were sealed shut. Instead, the administration decided to allow official meetings between prisoners on strictly designated days, under control, but with respect for human dignity. 5 children born as a result of these relationships were placed under the care of relatives. The story, full of bewilderment, anxiety and tension, ended with an unexpected but quite mundane solution. It was told for a long time at official meetings as an example of the fact that secrets are sometimes hidden in plain sight. What do you think about this story? Write in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channels so you don't miss any amazing new stories. See you.